You know what the single most valuable thing in any garage gym space is? It's not your rack, it's not your barbell, it's not your weights, it's space. Space comes at a premium. So anytime that you or I can spend a few $100s on something that absolutely gives us more space, something that's very hard to do, it's always worth taking a look at, and that's what I'm taking a look at today in today's 3-minute review. I'm taking a look at the Bells of Steel rolling bumper plate and barbell storage rack. Bells of Steel was nice enough to send this to me when they knew I was out of space. So thank you, Bells of Steel, for sending this to me. But I want to show it to you guys. I just built it yesterday. I played with it a little bit, and there's some things that I like. There's a couple things I wish were different. So let me show you what's what with this thing so that maybe you can decide if it's right to gain some space in your gym. So let's start with a basic overview of this. Now, this is listed as a bumper plate tree. However, you can store any Olympic plates on here. The cool thing is this has a 1,700 pound capacity. So that's a lot of weight. Now, you're not going to fit 1,700 pounds worth of bumper plates on here because they're so thick. But it's nice to know that if you've got metal plates or thinner rubber coated plates, that that's going to fit. It also has 4 upright storage posts for 4 barbells. So if you've got a gym and you're not sure where to put your weights and your barbell, and this is about 3 feet by 2 feet, and it's on wheels. So this can really get a lot of stuff that would normally take up a lot of area, or you'd have to hang on the side of your rack, or wherever you happen to be able to put things, and get it all in one spot. And if you're really tight in space, this can actually move around. Now, this is on 4 industrial casters that all lock. So far, this rolls really, really well. I will show you one thing which was different about my floor when I show you the rolling part. But that's the overall summary of this. It's got 6 total weight posts, 1,700 pound capacity, and 4 upright storage posts for barbells. Now, let's get this thing loaded up and show you the things that I like and wish were different. All right, we've got it all loaded up. I've got about 615 pounds of bumper plates on here. I've got 4 45-pound barbells, so that's just under 800 pounds of stuff on here. Holds it no problem at all. There's no issues at all with any wobbling or stability issues. This thing's built like a tank. Like a lot of things that Bells of Steel makes, it's really built very, very well. Overall, the powder coat's good. The assembly was pretty easy. Again, it's very stable, very sturdy, very well built. Have no issue with holding this much on here. Now, the things that I like about this. First of all, we'll start with the fact that it's on wheels. So I know for a lot of you, you're so tight on space that you're going to need to do something like this, and then you're going to need to move this from place to place in your gym. And the wheels on here are heavy-duty industrial grade casters. All 4 of them lock. A lot of these carts, sometimes only one of the wheels locks. I love that all 4 of them lock to keep it in place. And I do like that they're a wider diameter than I've seen. Sometimes what you'll see on carts like this, like dumbbell storage carts and things like that, is they'll have these little tiny wheels on them. And when you're on a rubber floor, and we should all have rubber flooring in our gym, what happens is those small wheels sink into the rubber. Now, with that said, with this much weight on here, these wheels are going to sink into the rubber. And if it sits in one place for too long, the first move as you go to push this and move it, it's going to take a little bit of effort to do it because it's kind of sunk into the indentations. So as I go to move this, see, I've got to kind of get it going. But as you can see, it moves pretty easily with 800 pounds on it. And so that's going to be really nice for you that need to move things around. Now, one heads up is I have puzzle piece rubber flooring. And what happens with puzzle piece rubber flooring is you've got to be careful of where the wheels roll across the floor. Because if they roll where the puzzle pieces meet together, what is going to happen is it's going to separate them. And I've had that happen a couple of times as I was putting this together already. So just a heads up for that. It's not a huge deal, but you do need to be aware that that's going to happen. If you've got normal stall mats, if you've got the rolled rubber flooring, it's not an issue. So, but overall, wheels are a huge win. Another thing that I really like about this is that the barbell storage tubes have plastic sleeves just in the top portion. A lot of times it's just a bare metal tube, and when you go to put your barbell and you put it in typically at a little bit of an angle sometimes, and if it's got just a raw metal edge across the top, you'll scratch the sleeve on your barbell, and that's no good, right? So I like the fact that it has those. Now, one thing that I wish was different is I do wish that it came with, AbMat sells these little things called barbell pads, and they're specifically for vertical barbell storage, and you just put them in the bottom so that as you put it in, there's a little bit of cushion. Now, what I'm going to do, because I'm kind of cheap, is this is some of the packing material that came with this. I'm just going to cut a few circles of this and tape it together and then pop them down in the bottom of those tubes. It'll serve the same purpose. I don't have to buy anything extra, but AbMat does make those pre-cut ones for those of you who don't like to DIY stuff. So that is one thing I wish was different is it would be nice to see they've gone to the effort of using the plastic along the top of the tube, but they didn't really put anything in the bottom of the tube to cushion. And I think that should be a must in any vertical barbell storage. I do like the length of the posts. If you do have bumper plates, this is gonna hold quite a few. Now I can probably fit on this middle post here, I've got 3 45-pound plates. I could probably fit another one, but there wouldn't be any room on the end. It'd be really flush to the end. And the one thing I wish about this, or one of the things I wish about this, is a lot of these storage solutions, they have the posts that come straight out like this. And what happens is as you move things around, or as they kind of jiggle around a little bit, vibrations can cause the plates to kind of shimmy out to the edge and fall off, especially if they're loaded all the way to the end. So a couple solutions for you. Number one is Bells of Steel sells these real thin collars. And what these thin collars would allow you to do is to load a lot of plates on here and not need a ton of post to actually hold them on. So if you're gonna load these up all the way to the ends, I would suggest using collars to hold them on. A real easy solution on Bells of Steel part for this would be to just angle the posts a little bit. I do really appreciate when weight storage posts, either rack mounted or something like this, actually angle. That keeps this from happening. But for this particular one, you are gonna wanna use collars. Now for me, the way I've got this loaded, I'm not too worried about it because I've got enough room on the end. I'm going to notice if something is sliding off and nothing's really hanging precariously on the end. Now, one little tip for you as you guys are doing your weight storage, whether it's on rack or whether it's on a cart like this, a lot of people in their minds, what they'll do is, you know, like when we used to build stuff as little kids, you put the big stuff on the bottom and you put the medium stuff in the middle and the light stuff on top. Well, with weight storage, what you want to do is, the reason I put my 45s in the middle is this is much easier on my back. So when I want to lift a 45 out, it's right here and it's much easier for me to grab. I don't have to bend all the way over to get the 45-pound heavier plate off of the bottom. I've got my 25s down there, and 25s are no problem to just grab with one hand, and bending over is not an issue. And then I've got my 10s up top here. So that's just a tip for you, is that organizational pattern is going to make things easier on your back. It's going to make a little bit less injury prone as you're taking things on and off. One other thing that I wish was different about this is, and this is just a super nitpick of mine, I'm a little bit OCD, but when we talk about the plates and having just barely enough room for 4 45-pound plates on this middle post, if you look inside, what you'll see is the way that these posts hook on is the bolts go through this way. So on one side there's a bolt head, and on the other side the end of the bolt with a nut. Well, the side with the bolt head, which is this side, is closer to this center post than this one, which has the nut. So I actually have more room on this post than I do on this post, but in both cases I've got post space being taken up by the nut and the bolt head. So it would be really cool is if, instead of just having the post with a single plate, I would love to see it with an angled plate, so that one side of the angle is the front, the other side of the angle is in the back, and then you can run the bolts through the front and back, and then that would allow you to actually use the whole weight post for storage. And then when you look at something like this, then you would absolutely be able to have 4 45-pound bumper plates and a collar, and it would increase the ability to store more bumper plates on this. Because like I said, you're not going to max out the 1,700-pound capacity with bumpers, so it's no problem squeezing a couple extra 45s on here. So that would be something that I would like to see different. Overall, retail on this is $299. I know it's on sale all the time for less than that. There is an affiliate link below. Definitely, if you like this, you decide to buy one, you think this review helped you in making that decision, I always appreciate if you use those affiliate links, because that's what pays the bills. That's what allows me to keep going. And that's also what lets Bells of Steel know that you're watching my content, and that lets them send me more stuff to show you. So it's a win-win-win for everybody. So if you do decide to buy one, use that affiliate link below. Also, that'll allow you to check what the current sale price is. Bells is always running some really great sales. And that is your probably longer than 3-minute review for today. The Bells of Steel bumper plate tower and barbell storage. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments below. And until the next review, I'm Tim from GymCrafter.